welcome along. We've got FaZe up against Fnatic. This one could be for a chance at second place and indeed a ticket to Worlds. But is this one just about FaZe keeping their tools sharp?
Yeah, I think FaZe is going to be looking at this one as a must-win, but also pretty much a guaranteed win with how confident they've been playing. But I'm sure Fnatic will be set out to try and change that narrative, because you've got to look at what Fnatic have done, coming through that open bracket, so much confidence flowing through them. Sure, they had that disappointing loss to Ascend off stream, but now is your chance to make up for that against one of the biggest and best teams in the game.
Let's take a look at the series layout then. Game 1 is going to be Strongholds Recharge, Live Fire Slayer Game 2, and Catalyst CTF. And then if we need them, we'll go a little bit further into the distance. But Recharge Strongholds Game 1, Dan, talk about the chances of these two teams.
I think Recharge Strongholds is going to be a really good game type here for FaZe. We saw Spartan get a 2.80 KD yesterday on this very game type against Ascend. He was playing nuts, so keep an eye on Spartan. I'm sure he's going to be doing exactly the same, getting that shock rifle, getting in the face here of Fnatic. On the side of Fnatic though, I want to see what Skeptify can do. He has been the man to watch for Fnatic for so long. Now is your time to shine.
All eyes on Skeptify and all eyes on this man, Spartan. Shields up, weapons hot, we're underway.
And already you can see Spartan looking to try and make a quick flank through gold so he can get into a nice position to get those angles so he can do the damage. And he's already responding to those cooldowns.
Spartan in pipes then. Slays come here and there. 2 go down for FaZe. Skeptify got control of A. Slides out. Will try and live the fight another day. Has done so successfully. Just going to give up A for the meantime.
Camouflage full suppressed. And you've always got a lot of responsibility on your shoulders when you do have that camo. Are you going to go for a quick capture, which is what he's gone for? Or do you go for a quick aggressive push to try and make yourself work? But unfortunately, in the end, he only is able to do a little bit of damage, and you could argue could have done better with that camo.
The desk are calling for some consistency from Spartan, but one man that's always been consistent is Renegade.
Renegade is an incredibly consistent player, and he's had, a very difficult time leaving Cloud9, trying to find his place on a team, trying to find a team that he thinks is worthy of winning a world championship, because that's where Renegade wants to be. But what we saw yesterday for FaZe Clan is they look like they are not so far from that. An incredibly close series against Optic Gaming, but now they need to put it into fruition here. They need to make sure they're playing at their very best and beating teams like Fnatic.
Score currently sitting at 22-0. Fnatic have had a very good start after a bitter disappointment, a bitter loss to Ascend. They're looking to bounce back here against one of the best teams in the land.
And it's not easy. You look at the pool that they got part of. If you lose to Ascend, suddenly you've got Fnatic and then you've got Optic Gaming. But to start with, I mean, A, B, and C in control. Fnatic are scoring. FaZe are somewhat struggling, it would seem, in these early moments. And I believe it's because Fnatic are keeping this quite fast-paced. FaZe have not been able to reset ever since that starting strategy.
FaZe unable to find the rhythm. Spartan backing down 2 members of Fnatic to contend with. The last 2 standing, it would seem. 4 alive here. A and C in control, and FaZe will secure their first points of the game.
But now they've got control. Is this going to be a different matter? Are Fnatic going to have a successful attempt of being able to break the setup of FaZe? Renegade has the camouflage. He has a lot to work with. And, of course, he's got the communication from the rest of the team. There's a lot of responsibility for Suppressed with that shock rifle, I tell you.
On board with Spartan then. Eyes firmly set on B, helping his teammate here. Secure as 1, make it 2 for Spartan. And if they can get him cooking ahead of steam, FaZe will be up for a big surprise and perhaps a win that many of us expect.
It is a good push from Spartan, but again, he wanted to get away, he wanted to get around that corner. They're really trying to take this shock rifle off of Suppressed, and it's understandable because he can do so much damage from a distance. He can be the one to create that opening, but he finally goes down. And that is going to be bad news for Fnatic, because he was going to be the reason why maybe something could happen as Renegade picks up a big double.
And just like that, that lead that Fnatic had surmounted has been completely evaporated. And potential triple cap on the cards here is 65-54, and now FaZe are starting to find that rhythm.
This is the difference. This is the difference from a okay setup to a very strong and incredible setup now from FaZe. Fnatic off spawn, they are struggling to find any sort of room to actually break in here.
Renegade has won tournaments at Halo Infinite before. How he would love to carry FaZe to their very first of the season. They've still got 2 strongholds here, A and B. They're losing C, but they will continue to score and they continue the pressure.
It means Fnatic have to go one of 2 routes, right? They can go through control, which is what they're aiming to do at the moment. or they can try and face Renegade. Try and take down the very core of this team with that shock rifle, but it's not going to be an easy task. And Renegade is manipulating the map very successfully to try and keep away from them.
2 down for Fnatic, make it 3. Killing spree for Renegade. We talk about big game players, and he's certainly one of them.
He is one of the biggest game players, and I think that this FaZe Clan roster, they needed that big game player, someone to really generate that extra bit of excitement for these other 3. And as FaZe Clan go further and further into this tournament, they are going to look more and more like potential winners, it has to be said. They have to overcome teams like Fnatic, and it looked a little bit worrying to begin with, but now we're starting to see what FaZe are capable of and what they did yesterday as well.
King Nick, last man standing, the latest addition to the team. He really is in the engine room, making this team tick. They seem a different beast ever since he's joined the squad.
At the moment, he's really just trying to escape everyone else with this shock rifle as well, and not well, it's as easy as that. 1, 2, 3, and a shock rifle goes through me. Now 148 to 71. Suddenly, Fnatic, they really need a strong setup similar to what they had at the start of the game.
148 to 73 then. FaZe Clan control A and B. Fnatic looking to influence that here and now. Over towards batteries, trying to get control of B, but Sparry slid in there and cleaned out the riffraff, but Arctic will take him down. But the damage has been done here. FaZe Clan are just heading into the clouds now as 3 go down for Fnatic once more.
Maybe a lot of pressure on Arctic as well. A new pickup for Fnatic. There's a lot of talk about who would they be picking up. What were the changes that was going to happen for this roster? They've been through so many different iterations, have Fnatic. It seems like they finally found something that is worth it, worth driving towards that World Championship. That's where they want to be. Top 12 is their aim, but if they are going to get there at the moment, they've got to try and do something here against FaZe.
A baptism of fire for Fnatic as they enter into the group of death. FaZe in there, Ascend, the European champions, Optic, excuse me, champions elect for many people. They're expecting them to go on and win this competition. With A and B still in control, still continuing to score, Fnatic, this game is just starting to slip through their fingers.
I think Fnatic, realistically, they know it's going to be the elimination bracket where they start their championship run and the teams that they're going to be facing up against. But it's about where you land in that elimination bracket from Paul, as King Nick is still tearing through with his shock rifle.
The run finally comes to an end. Zero has the camouflage. They're trying to secure B. Success on this occasion. 2 members of FaZe set up over towards bottom control. 2 members in defending A. It's going to be an AC split here, but the Slay is starting to go in favor of Fnatic. It's all about whether they can hold C, and it looks as though they've just lost it in the meantime.
You can see in the player cam there as well, Neighbor, the coach. Everyone knows the name, and I'm sure he's going to be bringing a lot of experience, veteranship to this roster. He's been there, he's done it. He can explain all of the things that they need to do in those moments. But can they actually come back into this game now? This is a long road, 280 to 91. You need one of those setups where you can get a trip cap and then go back to the double cap, back to the triple cap again. And you're constantly putting your opposition team on the spawn side.
This hold has got to be strong. 2 down for FaZe, but also 2 for Fnatic. These next slays so important. 1 has gone in favor of the boys in red. Spartan then. He's going to secure A for his team. They're losing C, but happy to give it up to control B.
That's good rotations from Fnatic, recognizing A was definitely going down, but unfortunately they can't hold on to B. They were hoping off spawn they would be able to quickly kind of dive into B and contest it, but they weren't quite quick enough, and that means FaZe, they're going to be ticking up once more.
20 points is all that's required now for FaZe to close out game 1. Can Fnatic throw one more spanner in the works?
It's going to have to be a pretty big spanner. Because unfortunately, FaZe Clan have got this one locked down at the moment. You can see they're trying to make a push over towards A, but in the kill feed, you'll see plenty of trades going in favor of FaZe Clan, and those points, they are ticking up to 250.
Well, spanner or no spanner, shovel was required. They got nothing. Game 1. Go with the FaZe.
It was comfortable. It looked a little bit shaky to begin with, but it's exactly what the doctor ordered from FaZe. Get the job done. Get the first map on the board. Get rid of any sort of confidence that Fnatic may have had coming from that open bracket. And now FaZe will look to try and cruise through this series. As for Fnatic, plenty to learn from that one. They did things right, but then they did things wrong. And the things that went wrong, unfortunately, just meant that they couldn't really break those setups. They were trying to separate themselves a little bit too much with their pushes. But that's because they were forced to by a very solid FaZe Clan.
Talking about things that went right, looking across the board, the Slays very even on the side of FaZe. 15 apiece for Spartan, Renegade, and King Nick, respectively. And Falcade picking up 13. They're all singing from the same hymn sheet here.
I think that's what you've got to love about this FaZe roster is everyone is playing a part, everyone is playing a role. They're not set to different structures or playing in a certain way. But it was King Nick who led the charge when it came to damage. And Renegade, I mean, we talk about him being that main slayer, that main guy who's going to be getting those kills, the least amount of damage, but he didn't have to do the damage. Everyone else was doing the work for him at times. He was kind of watching on with Shock Rifle at certain points in the game. And a very impressive first game for FaZe. And I think when you're a FaZe fan and you're going into a series like this, you kind of bite your nails a little bit in those opening moments against a team like Fnatic. But once you do start to get points on the board, you get control, you know full well what's going to happen.
And there was some nervy moments at the start of that game. Fnatic did get 50, 60, 70 points without reply, but then FaZe took over and Fnatic couldn't find a road back into the game.
And I think sometimes that can be a case of you haven't scrimmed this team that much, you're not sure what their starting strategy is going to be, you don't necessarily know how to answer their initial setup, but we saw what happened once FaZe got that break. Game 2 is going to be Slayer live fire, and if we learned anything from game 1, you've got to keep those kind of precision sniper weapons away from FaZe Clan, otherwise they are going to be ripping heads.
You highlighted before the game, Renegade is a player that you really like. You talked about Septify. Did you see enough from Septify in that game to say there's some hope in this series?
It's tough because when you look in the early stages, I would say yes, they showed plenty of encouraging things that you could say going into a Slayer, they were winning individual fights. But are those individual fights going to be as reoccurring, happening enough to suggest they can actually get 50 kills would be my big question, because FaZe seem to be better at setting up, FaZe seem to be better at rotating around the map, but Fnatic can win those battles. They just need to keep the power weapons away from FaZe Clan here, and Septify maybe is going to be one of the main reasons for that.
Are Fnatic going to be able to find their way back into the series? If they're going to do so, it has to be here. This is their best chance.
Got to focus on that overshield all game long as well. You can't afford for it to just be a casting thought on the side. I spoke about Septify. I said you've got to keep those power weapons away, but unfortunately he just backs himself into a corner. And now this is exactly what you don't want to happen. You don't want Spartan getting this sniper rifle.
Wig wobbler in hands then. Eyes trained on overshield. Septify can almost smell the danger. Spidey senses are tingling. And you can see why. He doesn't even need to fire the second shot. It was surgical.
Knows exactly where to aim, where to have that reticle waiting. And it means that Renegade is rewarded with an overshield. And if there's the one man you don't want to be facing with extra shields, it's probably the one on your screen. He's going to be getting aggressive now, because not only has he got the overshield, he's also got the heat wave.
Cook's Arctic to the core. Fnatic are on the menu now. They need to find a way, they need to find an answer to this pressure, because they're going straight into the slaughterhouse.
Just keep an eye on how quickly FaZe collapse on their enemies. As soon as they have any sort of indication or of where people are, they very quickly will push, will take the numbers advantage and make sure they swoop up those kills as early as possible. They want a big gap to suit FaZe. They want to ensure they can get a 5 to 6 kill lead in these early stages so they can constantly just play off of that.
There is a bit of breathing space. There is 4 kills. The clean wipe separating the two teams right now. FaZe Clan undoubtedly have had the better of it. Spartan had that sniper rifle, was able to find the face of 2. And if he's starting to hit his shots, he can be the real difference maker for this team. He can be that X factor.
I am curious to see just how FaZe are feeling about this one. Are they going to be het up? Are they going to be chilled? I guess an Astro listening with FaZe would be perfect right about now.
Yeah, yeah.
Alright, let's go green.
Go catch the pit.
Yo, I'm gonna go bottom mid of pillars with the scatter.
Okay.
He's got nest jump, going to nest.
Yeah, and pillars.
Do nest. Find pillars fast as I can. Find pillars fast as I can.
Shot the very nice. Shot on pillars. A pillars.
Watch out pillars, guys. Alright,
Yeah, you're gonna die.
I'm you guys. Wait, Don, I'm coming, bro. Lift.
He's right.
Come to you, Don.
He's weak, Don. He's weak then. Yeah, scatter. 3 bullets.
Watch out, right.
A play mid.
One bottom mid. One out bottom mid.
Dude, A play, go mid.
2 there, bottom mid. Flying at you.
Get up.
Yeah, I'm getting the fuck out. Chasing me. Coming here, bro. I'm coming here. I'm back green here. I'm stuck back green, bro.
Probably going to bottom
A
mid.
play right now.
Going to bottom mid.
Okay, I'm baiting green. I'm
bottom mid.
baiting green.
You're gonna pillars. Alright.
Back green on you guys.
Every slow.
Got him, my fault.
Alright, get her.
Plat, nice. Good shot.
Hey, but.
Don't live, bro. I'm coming.
Tell me have shots.
Alright,
He's looking at me for some reason.
One shot, nice, good shit. I gotta live, tower.
They're trying to nade back, they're nading back.
Oh, pillars, I think, as well.
We should play up.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's our...
Communication is so important. We know how Spartan likes to get loud when he hits shots, but there's a different side of him here. I'm seeing cool, calm, collected. It's measured. Their call-outs are clean. They're concise. And that is why we're seeing them pull away here with a significant lead.
Yeah, I think this is a chilled approach for FaZe Clan. There's no need to be kind of screaming at one another at the moment. Just focus on what's in front of you, get that W, and start to think about opponents that maybe are going to be those who you're contesting for top 4, top 3, and who knows, maybe even a championship with the way we saw FaZe playing yesterday. Fnatic is merely, for them anyway, a team they should be sweeping aside, but if Fnatic are going to make a difference here, if they are going to try and change the narration of that story, they need some sort of significant amount of kills to really make some sort of comeback, otherwise they're going to be stuck behind for quite some time.
This Fnatic roster has great potential. They landed in a pool full of monsters. FaZe Clan going down to Optic Gaming in a game 5 yesterday. They're looking to right some wrongs, looking to tighten up the ship, and they're looking damn good right now.
6 kills the difference. Overshield coming up once more. Suppress might have snuck in, and he does. This could be important. This could be that moment for Fnatic to really make a difference, but you've got to lead the charge if you've got the overshield, and the teammates have to be confident in your ability as well.
Has to be perfect here. They've lost the first kill though. Septify goes down. 2 members of Fnatic, and the overshield's almost being completely evaporated. Spartan fancies the fight. The 1v1, and the overshield is good for nothing.
Absolutely schmelted. And then cleaned up afterwards. And it comes to nothing really. The work they put in to try and grab that OV, it's still a 6 kill difference. It's still close enough, mind, that it is not out of the realms of possibility of a comeback for Fnatic. FaZe have to be careful. They need to be making sure they're still watching each other's backs.
No value from the overshield then. Renegade, top middle now. Eyes set on tower. He might have just bitten off more than he can chew. Somehow gets away. His teammates are there around him to support. Spartan and Falcated lock in 2. Arctic tries to answer back and respond with the heat wave. Too much distance between them now, and a killjoy after Arctic was on a killing spree.
Great movement there from Renegade as well, just making sure he was hard to find, hard to hit, and in the end he gets behind enemy lines and cleans up that final kill. And all the while in that passage of play, it's an 11 kill difference now. 9 kills required for FaZe to make it 2-0 in this series. And unless we see maybe another overshield going in favor of Fnatic that really swings things, I think we're starting to look more likely that it will be 2-0.
It's a long road back here in this Slayer. Indeed, it's possibly the series. If Fnatic do not get their act together quick. 8 kills remaining, make it 7. And Septify and Arctic are in the respawn screen.
There's that overshield. Anyone? No. It's going to be easy for FaZe, and that probably just secures this game comfortably. No one to really contest the overshield. Spartan's also got a sniper rifle to work with as well. He's going to have some fun.
Backs away this time. Body shot didn't connect. Spike grenades hitting him after a very long time. Those spikers followed him all the way home. 6 kills required though for FaZe Clan to secure game 2.
Trying to make an angle at the moment is Spartan. Fnatic have done very well to at least deplete that overshield just by kind of cowering away a little bit, biding their time. They are sticking together to try and work with something, but unfortunately it's probably a thing they should have considered at the start of this game. Might just be a little bit too late with the holding hand system.
Buddy system not working here. Suppressed down to no shields. Down to no lives, it would seem. 1 more kill, and FaZe Clan will double their series lead here. And there it is. Game 2 secured, it's in the books. FaZe Clan make easy and light work of Fnatic.
There's no real other way to put it, is there, unfortunately? It was easy, it was light work. There was no real challenge from the boys in orange and black. They didn't really have anything to go off at the start of the game like they did recharge strongholds either. There is a clear golfing class difference between these two teams. To be expected, I guess, when you look at what Fnatic have done and they've come out of the open bracket, whereas FaZe are arguably one of our top 4 teams at this tournament. Is there a saving grace for Fnatic when you look at that series layout would be my question, but we'll have a look at it later as we look at the stats right now. Renegade with 14 kills. He had a field day. And even though King Nick has got 14 deaths, I think he was just playing hide and seek. He was trying to find those Fnatic members who were hiding around the corners, were trying to escape those kills.
There There was a guy in the crowd there with a sword. I don't know if we can get security to take care of him. That has been GA'd. I don't know how you got that past. We'll have to get that taken care of. One thing I do know, it's FaZe taking care of business here.
I think that's what's impressive about this FaZe roster is they are all business. They're not laughing, they're not joking, they're not playing stupidly, they're playing smart. They want to get this job done, and they are clinical at the moment. You saw it with how they were prioritizing the overshield, with how they were playing around areas of the map to secure the sniper rifle as well. Even just simple things, picking up the repulsor so you have a way of getting out of a fight. Everything was on point here for FaZe.
FaZe have clocked in. They're going to work, and the shift is going pretty well here. On the cusp of a clean sweep of Fnatic, the open team hoping to come in here and just upset the status quo, but it's not gone their way.
There he is, it's GA, get it out of here, come on! Not allowed, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. He's got a mangler as well, I did see it in his back pocket.
No doubt about
but
it.
The cheek of it. Catalyst capture the flag is going to be game number 3 then. And usually this is where I'd be like, you know, it's one of the newer game types.
Yeah.
Maybe Fnatic have a chance here. FaZe looked incredible on Catalyst capture the flag against Ascend yesterday. And I do think they're going to try and wrap this one in emphatic fashion. But, and there will always be a but, Fnatic have always got that chance to try and come out the blocks hot like they did in that recharge game. If they can get one early cap, try and put FaZe kind of against the wall a little bit, maybe, just maybe, we can have a series on our hands.
So for Fnatic, is this just a case of trying to make this next game as ugly as possible, as scrap fest?
You make it as close to a Halloween movie as you can at this point. You want FaZe to feel uncomfortable. Don't allow them to have that structure. Tell you what, maybe just pick up the sword. It might help out. No, don't do that. I didn't mean it.
Take it back.
This is going to be FaZe trying to finish things off quickly. Watch out for a lot of flag pulls for them just trying to get this job done as fast as possible. FaZe want to just chill out now and think about their next game in the winner's bracket.
On board with Falcade, then like you call him underrated, undervalued, but has he finally got himself a roster that can contend and win championships? With the current form they're in, who could bet against them?
Falcated is such a phenomenal player, and I think that those around him know what he's capable of, and those against him feel what he's capable of. And with this roster, the 4 that we see in front of us, at the start of Halo Infinite, you might have looked at it and thought, is that going to work? But boy, oh boy, have we realized this tournament, it definitely does. And they are going to disrupt everything that you may have thought is going to be comfortable for the likes of Optic Gaming, the likes of Sentinels in Cloud9 at this event.
Falcade has just walked onto Fnatic's flag. Barely had to shoot his gun in anger. Zero goes down. Septify. He's going to be the next point of contact here. He's got the skewer. He needs to hit the shot. Will not do so. Will try and scamper away. But no, no, no. He's cleaned up, and Arctic is the next one. I can feel the wrath and is desperately trying to scamper away. But Fnatic has got the ball. They're on their heels here.
Very much just retreating into their base as their flag is currently being run. This is perfect play from FaZe. They pull the flag, they fight with the flag, and then Falcated is able to just force them back so that it is a comfortable cap and no one is going to be in your own base trying to fight you. That's one of the most difficult things about Catalyst capture the flag usually.
Playing capture the flag here, and I tell you something, it looks as though Fnatic want to be waving a white one because the things we just seen, we've seen Falcade hounding the members of Fnatic. They didn't want to fight, they didn't want to smoke.
It is very hard as a player when you come into these games, when you come into these series as the underdog and you get smashed around in the first 2, of not just thinking, okay, this is going to be a 3-0, let's just get it over with. It's always going to be there in the back of your mind. You've got to just try and dig deep, find something else, and sometimes you need one player to have that pop-off moment, a big double, a big triple, so you can get loud and you can find some momentum once more.
They need momentum. They need confidence. And it hasn't come in the first 2 games of the series. Can things change here as Falcade makes sure they will not be getting confidence from him? That much is for sure. Arctic caught unawares, that's 3. And Falcade is just having his way with them.
Just look how confident Falcated is walking around the map right now. It looks like he owns the place. He's got a deposit down. He's got a loan. It doesn't matter. He owns it and he's going to work with it as well. He doesn't even worry at the moment where his teammates are. He's trusting them that much that they will support him when he needs. And he is just going to bide his time and take individual fights when they come.
Talk about having a deposit down. He's the landlord of Catalyst right now, it would seem. And the price of rent seems to be your life. That's inflation nowadays.
Terrible times here on Catalyst. The rent is very dear, but Fnatic, they're having to pay the price as FaZe just seem to be comfortably walking around, walking into the base and leaving with the flag uncontested each time. Either this is down to one of two things. They are timing it perfectly by countering Fnatic's rotations, or it's just because they're outslaying them so hard, Fnatic don't really have a choice off of spawn.
This is so controlled, so measured. Fnatic are frantically trying to make a difference here, desperately trying to make the plays, but it's 3-0 in very little time at all.
Again, it's measured here from Spartan, even though only one member was left. Oh, blimey, okay, I wasn't expecting that one. I said one member was left, it was suppressed, but he has an extra little bit of power that makes him maybe just more than one person. One man and a skewer. That's a book I can see Richie Hines writing, but now he is going to be on a tear, and this is what I was talking about. You need someone to be doing something like this to give confidence to the team.
Can they secure the overshield? They've got the flag. Will their attentions turn towards it? King Nick making it really difficult though. He's cut away the numbers, and Renegade's got that overshield, and no doubt he's going to have a massive influence on this next series of play.
Genuinely watching this game, it feels like I'm watching 4 versus 3 at times, with how comfortable it looks for FaZe and the way they're running around the map. They've got the overshield, which sometimes is like having an extra player, but no contest from Fnatic. Unfortunately, on the kill feed, you can see 2 more members of Fnatic go down, make it a 3rd. The 4th is just another spawner, so this is going to be 4-0 for FaZe. Easy as you like.
Dominant. Absolutely clinical. FaZe clan are in no mood to give away games here.
And I wonder whether that is because of yesterday, how close they were to beating Optic Gaming and just how much that pissed them off. Are they going to go into the rest of this tournament now saying, we need to be better, we need to clutch up, we need to be more clinical, we can't afford to make mistakes, otherwise we will not win this tournament. We need to see this same kind of desire, passion and structure out of FaZe for the rest of this tournament if they are going to win.
Was that Optic series just the fuel that they needed to drive them on here? Renegade with the flag in his hands once more, and he could be about to close out not only this game, but this series. He's just fumbled it at the last possible moment.
Now Renegade is just styling, trying to put on a show for everyone. The victory lap has already begun. And Fnatic are probably just saying, just put that 5th flag in, come on, let's get it over with. Let's maybe start playing against teams a similar caliber to us. Because even though I have so much respect for this Fnatic roster, and especially what they've done throughout Open Bracket, it is clear FaZe are just one step above right now.
The cream has well and truly risen to the top here. And FaZe trying to prove they're one of the top dogs. Spartan running this flag once more, and it could be the last.
He was a little bit worried someone might be behind him. Their flag is also out at the moment, so FaZe have to think about this one. Overshield's going to be up, and Spartan's got the grapple, so he could very easily grab that one if he wants to. But with teammates going down, he needs to be finishing off those one-shots.
2 members in his sights of Fnatic. Overshield's been popped. No, it hasn't. It's gone down. It's still bottom middle. But all the slaves are going against Fnatic once more. King Nick getting the return here, and the overshield if he chooses to pick it up.
It is going to be a return for a return, so the game will last a little bit longer. And I guess, where do we think Fnatic can end up? Can they get top 12? Can they get that world spot? Remember, FaZe, by winning this series, guarantee themselves a world spot at the very least. They'll be top 2 in their pool. As for Fnatic, they will drop down into the elimination bracket. And that will mean they are going to have to face some very hot teams coming through elimination round 1. That they'll have to beat to try and get to top 12 themselves to secure that spot in Worlds.
Fnatic had to run the gauntlet yesterday, all the way through the open bracket. But they have found FaZe clan are a totally different beast. As Spartan goes down just at the final yards, and they're going to get a flag pull of their own, and Falcate recognizing that one's already gone.
There's still a little bit of life yet in Fnatic, it would seem. They're not just allowing this one to go easily as a 5-0. They want to get one on the board at the very least. A consolation flag it may be, but it can still be a little bit of a confidence builder going into their next series a little bit later on. If you can say you got a couple of flags here against FaZe clan, think about what you can do against an open team or another team that's in that elimination bracket. There we go. Fnatic will put one on the board.
One secured, but is it to be little more than a consolation? As now FaZe and indeed Spartan start to move One more flag. The Slaves have got in their favor this time. 2 down, Jazero and Suppress have got to wait and hope and pray that their teammates can make an influence on the other side of the map. It's going to be Arctic who's made a difference here and stopped the flag in its tracks.
He does stop it, but he was the last point of defense. He was the last remaining player. Surely, as a member of FaZe, to just put this one home and make this 5-1 and make this a 3-0 sweep. It's going to be King Nick who picks it up off the back of the double kill. FaZe Clan make it 3-0. That was clinical.
FaZe Clan, cold-blooded killers here it would seem. Did not take it easy on the open team. They put them to the sword.
Always very difficult as the open team coming into a pool like this, having to play a team of this caliber, really. And perhaps before the tournament, when you look at what seeds you've been potentially playing against, if you were to come into a pool like this, you might think you have a chance, but FaZe are outplaying their current seed by far. You've got to think before this tournament, you go back to KC, you go back to Rally, FaZe were finishing top 8 at best. They weren't even pushing themselves into that top 6, that top 4 that really the organization deserves. We finally have a roster that really is shining here for FaZe Clan, and I'm sure fans around the world are going to be delighted.
Could we be looking at championship contenders here? With the way they handled that team with relative ease, and looking at the stats, Renegade, 21 kills, it jumps off the page.
Similar to how he played against Descend yesterday on Catalyst Capture the Flag, Renegade ran the show when it came to kills. But you have to look at what was happening around him, how Falcated was playing, how Falcated had so much confidence to just maneuver his way around the map, fearless at all times. And I think that would be a good way to describe that Series 4 phase, is they were fearless.
And unlike before when Renegade had even kills with the rest of his team but significantly less damage, this time he made sure he was far more effective on the map. And you speak about King Nick, you speak about how important he is to the team and how he's made them tick. But now all of a sudden Renegade has that freedom that he needs. Confirmation then of how the series went. 250 to 108, Strongholds recharge, Live Fire Slayer 50-37 and a 5-0 on Capture the Flag. A clean sweep